So Bash in Berlin is finally behind us, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Yes, I did watch the PLE, but I did not have my full attention on the PLE. We had a lot of family and friends over to watch the first day of college football, so my full attention was not on the PLE like it probably should have been. So if this isn't as deep of a recap for Bash in Berlin as what you're normally used to on this channel, I do apologize. But with everybody coming over to the house and watching football, and it was just chaos. So I do apologize. But that doesn't stop the fact that we are still going to recap the show. And again, I did watch the show, but I was not fully invested in the show. So if there is something that I did miss from it, I do apologize. Now, a couple of things that I talked about in my last video on stuff that I was expecting to see from the PLE. We didn't get a Kevin Owens heel turn yet, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But the crowd, again, we've seen it time and time again with the European crowds for a PLE. The crowd was unbelievable. From the very beginning to the very end, it was unbelievable. I knew that the crowd for the PLE was going to be amazing considering what it was for SmackDown, and I think only having 5 matches on the card really helped because there really wasn't a match that kind of felt like it was a dead spot. A lot of times with a PLE, we get a match that kind of feels like it's in a dead spot when the crowd is coming off of an amazing match, everything is up here, and then the next match is just maybe not necessarily as good, and the crowd kind of dips a little bit. But that's the beauty of a 5-card match, is we didn't have any of that. Every match was fantastic, and all the stories coming into it were great, and all the stories coming out of it could lead to some interesting storylines moving forward. Obviously, we're going to be starting with the Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes match for the Universal Championship. Now, I think we all kind of went into this match fully expecting to see a KO heel turn. And while I do think we're going to get it soon, should they have done it at Bash in Berlin? That feels like the million-dollar question, and they really played that whole narrative during the match. We saw when Cody's knee started bothering him, Kevin Owens didn't want to start targeting it until he finally did. And we got a little glimpse of what a heel Kevin Owens looks like again, and it looked so good. I talked about it in a previous video where I really could see these two having multiple matches, similar to what we saw with Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles. But in order to get there, we need Kevin Owens to turn heel again. So eventually, when KO does go back to a heel, I think we're going to get more from these two. I don't think this story is done. I don't think this feud is done. I think it's just beginning. And I could see it ending at maybe Bad Blood or possibly even Survivor Series. So I'm going to leave this question for this match alone. Do you think Kevin Owens should have turned heel? Because I personally think that he should have. I think it made the most sense to do it now as opposed to tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Do you think he should have turned last night, or do you think they should save it for tomorrow's Monday Night Raw? Up next, we've got the Women's Tag Team Championship match between the Unholy Union and the team of Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Now, it is nice seeing the women's tag team division being showed on a WWE PLE, but it kind of sucks that the only way we get it is if Bianca and Jade are in the picture. And I do think that despite their loss, the Unholy Union still comes out looking relatively strong. They had a really, really good match with Bianca and Jade, who are obviously two of the top superstars in the business. However, in saying all that, I really do think this match could have used Blair Davenport and possibly Naomi. And for me, it didn't really make sense as to why they didn't incorporate them into the match, because if they're trying to build up Blair Davenport, which it appears that they have been trying to, why not have her interfere in a big time match like that on a WWE PLE? And again, once Blair came in, you could have had Naomi come in, and then that could have set up something for the Women's Survivor Series match. But despite all that, that doesn't take away from the match. It was a really, really good match. And Bianca and Jade winning the tag team titles back means that we're going to be seeing more from the women's tag team division, which is always a good thing. Up next, we have the leather strap match that took place between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. Now, if you watched my previous PLE preview video, you will know that I was not a huge fan on WWE doing the whole 4 corners thing when it comes to the strap match. I thought it meant more for somebody to pin the other guy in order to win. But in saying that, I ended up not hating it as much as I thought I was going to. The match obviously was still incredibly good between these two. The story being told, again, I've talked about it for ever and ever now. This is the best feud going on in pro wrestling right now. There may be some that are close, but for me, this is the best. And with CM Punk coming out on top, that evens the score at one apiece. And while it did kind of feel like that was going to be the end between these two, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they have to have at least one more, and I think it's going to take place at Bad Blood in a Hell in a Cell match. To me, that's the only real end that this feud could have, is a Hell in a Cell match. So hopefully we do end up getting it, because it really did feel like that this was kind of the end for the feud, because CM Punk got the bracelet back, and just the way that they were talking about it just made it felt like it was over, and I really hope it's not, and I don't think it is, because I want to see the Hell in a Cell match. I think that needs to be the end game with this feud. Up next, we have the tag team match between the Terror Twins, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, taking on the team of Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. Now, hands held high, I did not get a chance to watch all of this match live, but I did go back and watch the majority of it, so I do have enough to form an opinion. Was it a good match? Obviously, yes, it was a very good match. However, this was the only match of the night where I was not super pumped on the outcome. I talked about it in the previous video that I really did think that Judgment Day needed a win here. For me, it doesn't make much sense as to why WWE keeps having two people beat an entire team. I understand Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest are two of the most over superstars, two of the biggest baby faces in the company right now. But if they want to make this Judgment Day feel legit, they needed that win. We've seen what legitimacy can do for a team. Let's look at the Bloodline 2.0, for example. No one really bought them until Jacob Fatu came into the mix. Once Jacob Fatu came into the mix, everything changed. Judgment Day needs their Jacob Fatu. They need that true game changer to really push them over the top once again. So again, I think Judgment Day should have won this match. Again, I get obviously wanting the babyfaces to stand tall, but when it comes to a match like this, and it's two people who keep beating an entire team of 5 people, that is not going to help the Judgment Day at all. Finally, that leaves us with the main event of the night, Gunther taking on Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, heading into this match, I said it in the PLE preview video that I was very curious to see how the crowd was going to react. Were they going to be fully in Randy Orton's corner, or were they going to be fully in Gunther's corner? And I did mention that it was going to be a kind of 50-50 split, and I do think it was more of a 50-50 split than anybody was expecting. It was a match where the crowd didn't really care who won or lost, because they wanted to see both guys win. And I thought it was an simply incredible back and forth match. Simply put, it was exhausting to watch, because they beat the hell out of each other. Randy Orton continuing to punish Gunther, slamming him into the announcing table. Just brutal match. And I think it made Gunther look human in a way. Something that we really haven't seen before. Gunther looked like he was being pushed to his limits. And I think it was a great idea to have Randy Orton be that guy, to push Gunther to the limits. So Randy Orton still comes out looking like $1,000,000. Gunther does retain the World Heavyweight Championship, which I think we all kind of expected. But what really cemented the night for me was the beautiful moment at the end when Gunther went over and shook Randy Orton's hand, which is a very babyface thing to do for someone like Gunther, but him showing the respect to Randy Orton, I think kind of builds up the whole ring general gimmick, because Gunther talks about having the respect for the title that you're holding, the respect for the ring that you perform in. And this was Gunther's kind of first time really respecting his opponent, and I think, again, it made so much sense that it was Randy Orton. So what did you guys think of Bash in Berlin? Did you think it met expectations? Did you think it fell short of expectations? Did you agree with all the outcomes to the matches? And where do you think some of these stories go from here? Let me know down below in the comments. So that is going to do it for this video here. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. It really mean a lot to me. As always, down below in the description is our Linktree link. There you can find all of our social media pages. I highly suggest going and checking out our X page. Over on X, we do updates on every Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and all of the PLEs. And overall, I want that to be a place for wrestling fans to go and talk about wrestling. And if you're like me, you don't have a lot of people to talk to about wrestling. So if that does apply to you, maybe swing by a PLE preview or an upcoming episode of Raw or SmackDown. Join in on the conversation, and maybe it is for you. But again, that is going to do it for this video here. Stay tuned for more content coming in the future. We'll see you next time.